What's up, team? Welcome back to the Huddle. We are your weekly playbook to help get you gain forward progress in your flooring career. To our new viewers, welcome to the team. What's up, guys? How's it going
I'm good,
today?
brother.
I want to introduce Tom Cockerill, who has been on the podcast before. And Tom is from the UK, so we are going to be talking global flooring trends, kind of a little bit about installation, probably get into some training stuff. Just a myriad of topics that we go over here at the Huddle. With me as usual, Mr. Jose Gonzalez. We are void Mr. Daniel today. He's again out on a job site trying to complete some work. So
Get some stuff done.
yeah, never stops. Tom, you ever get down on your knees anymore and put some floors in?
I
No.
would simply no. Last time was COVID, was 100 square meters of flooring, and that was it. So probably 100 meters in the last 10 years on my knees.
Well, lucky you.
Goals, man.
For our viewers out there that didn't catch you on the first podcast, why don't you give us an introduction? Kind of tell us, how you got into flooring, what you're up to today, and a little bit about Tom.
Yeah, no problem. So 20 years in the flooring industry. Started on my knees, floor sanding, then developed into floor fitting, predominantly wood, hardwood. Then went into a little bit of LVT, a little bit of laminate, but predominantly wood. And then fast forward to now, we run a business consultancy, training provider for the flooring industry. So we train anything from contractors to one man or lady in a van, all the way up to multi-seven-figure retailers, predominantly or only really on the business side of things. So we don't cover installation, anything of that nature. It's all to do with the business side. And then from there, the training, we offer mentorship and additional training. And then we work on, predominantly on my side of the business, we work with some of the manufacturers to deliver bigger projects that's similar to mentoring, but not quite. We get them from A to B. So that's us in a couple of sentences, if that makes sense.
Nice. So do you do, when you're doing business training, you got any US companies you work with, or is it all in the UK?
All UK. All UK.
UK.
We've just done a course today. That's why I'm a little bit starry-eyed. So
for everybody out there, it's 9 o'clock for Tom. It's 3 o'clock for us. It's 4 o'clock for Jose. So Tom's on the backside of a long day.
So yeah, we've had flooring contractors with us for 2 days. Today was day 2. So we've been right in the thick of it all day. And day 2 is sales, marketing, acquisition, things like that. And that's my piece. So yesterday I didn't do as much, but today was mine. So hence why 9 o'clock I'm smoked. So
yeah.
What is the primary experience level of companies or individuals that are taking the courses you offer?
How do you mean? So what do you mean by the experience?
Experience. Do we have new businesses starting up? Do you have people who have been in the business for a while that are getting the consulting? Is it a wide range?
Literally every single variety. We had on the course today and yesterday, we had someone that had worked for a shop for a couple of years and then set up on their own. So they're in their first year of trading. And then we had commercial contractors that had been in the business 44 years, one of them. So big variety, multi-team commercial, and then just single operative out on the tools fitting carpet. So there isn't a niche flooring contractor. As long as they're either in a retail environment or on the knees, the course covers it. So it's
you don't discriminate, you appreciate. I got it.
Yeah. So yeah, it's it really does cover the basics, the higher level, all the way up to the higher level. So people get completely different items, and we're always really deep dive into that. What is the biggest take homes they're getting, and they're all completely different.
for the companies over here in the U.S. that do some similar things, I'm curious, what do you find like most um, most of these stores, like what is the, like if you had a number one thing that most of them ignore or are not like really paying attention to, or where do you provide the most value throughout your course? Obviously your whole course is valuable, but is there one thing that, or a couple of things that most people are missing?
So predominantly, I would say, of the industry, I don't cover it. Sarah covers it, but the financial side. So completely comprehending your numbers from start to finish, not sort of freestyling, not a little bit of guessing, maybe adding some, exact measurement of where you are now, where you might be in the future, and and things like that. Exact, not sort of. It's always, most of it is made up from the ground and then work up. And if there's money in the bank, that's okay. Not done
Yeah.
on any sort of tiered measurement. So that's normally right across from the smaller turnovers to the bigger turnovers. A lot still don't know where they are. And it's just
That,
because there isn't education around that. We all
yeah,
sort
that
of start
line, that,
business and where do
that,
we find this information? It's we.
yeah. Yeah, that lines up. That's
That
I would say
100%.
that's probably the number one. Uh, that and in a second place, I would say is truly valuing your craft. Like not just getting into it because you worked somewhere for a guy for a year and then you think you can do it, so you go out on your own. You don't go and seek out any formalized, standardized training or anything. You just go out and start putting stuff in. Those are probably two biggest problems that
Yeah.
need solved over here. Because if guys don't know that they're making a profit or not, and you don't know where your numbers are, you don't know, you know, any baseline of break even for your business, then that's a problem. I mean, that's you literally don't have a business. You're kind of doing a hobby if you
Yep.
don't know that stuff.
Yeah, you're just
And then
trading.
second, yeah, and then secondly is truly valuing the some type of standardized uh, installation standards, seeking out the craft, trying to be the best that you can absolutely be. Trying to obviously change that here, but that's interesting. I wanted to ask you that and see if it lined up. So we are going to jump into a couple of product topics. I was curious, we have the title Global Flooring Trends. I was curious what's rocking over there in the UK. What are you guys primarily still, installing, both maybe residential, if you have any insight in the commercial world? Jose does some residential over here in the US side. I do all commercial, so I was going to kind of compare what's trending.
So I've got three different elements to this. One is selfish, one is trendy, and then I'll cover commercial as well. So
Okay.
I'll go with the selfish one first. Selfish one being hardwood, because that's my background, that's my passion. Still get excited about it, even though it may be a little bit sad about timber flooring. And over the years, especially since COVID, the price has gone significantly up. Transport is up. So it became a point where it really got expensive when LVP was so also coming into the market. So that seemed a better option. But what I'm now seeing, that manufacturers have lowered the price of entry a little bit, and there seems to be a little bit more of a buzz around wood. It may be me, because I did feel like there was a dip, and I feel like we're at the end of that dip and we're coming back out, and people are really we're seeing the carpet guys saying, I want to learn more about wood. I need wood in my retail store. A little bit more excited about it. So I'm seeing that. I see it firsthand. So that's the selfish piece. The main thing that I think is getting other people excited is the LVT that's got the basket weave chevron. We would call them Victorian tiles, so very small, intricate tiles, and replicating something in the Victorian time and things like that. And the manufacturers are bringing out better and better replications of this sort of real specialty flooring. And that seems to be a buzz. That's the trendy. And then probably could deep dive much more into these, so please feel free to dig back into them. Commercial side, people seem to be start on the environmental piece of, you know, saving the whales and saving the plastic straws and all of this.
Yeah.
And that's where they want to start the journey. But then they end up where it actually looks like, and we'll end up possibly with a different hardwood or an LVT or something like that. But they start with saving the whales. And it's and that's what the architects and the designers seem to wanting to speak about. But then we work back and then look at price and product and look secondary. So that's an overview. So you guys can now throw maybe something at me with any of those points. But that's my overview of what I feel 2024 has produced in the UK.
I would say on the commercial side, your LVTs, they have gotten a little bit fancier with, I would call it with some designer friendly product lines that bring some of that chevron patterns and different patterns into the LVT, and they seem to be pretty much limitless with their ability to create imagery. So LVT is still just a juggernaut in the commercial atmosphere, along with carpet tile. On the other side, in commercial, is there's a lot of products that are coming out that are environmentally friendly that actually Shaw's come out with one here that is an LVT that's in cradle to cradle, cradle to grave, and has a good price point. Because like you said, what typically happens is we get designers or architects that are really gung-ho about the green products, but you get into the pricing, and before you know it, it's 35-40% higher, and they start asking for value engineering ideas, and before you know it, they're just using good old-fashioned LVT. So here in the last month or two, we've been shown multiple products at my office that are environmentally friendly, PVC free, good imagery, good testing, all that stuff. So that's starting to hit the market. It not quite so much in 24, but I can see it going haywire in 25. So that's the commercial side. I don't do enough residential to other than tile to really have a opinion, but I know Jose does. What are your thoughts, Jose? How's it compare?
Well, so far spot on with the commercial, right? Everybody wants something that appears to be custom and one of a kind for their facilities, their hospitals, their schools. So there's a lot of custom high end work going on in the commercial world, and everything is modular. Unless, like you said, unless value engineering is in play, and then you start getting like some broadlooms and some lower end wear layers and materials. But for the residential side, honestly, where I'm at in our location is hit or miss, right? It depends on the age of the demographic. The older demographic is still wanting some of that nostalgic feeling. I mean, there's no more carpet around toilets. I will say that. Like
thank God.
That's going away. And if they request it, we explain to them the implications that come along with that. But for a while there, it was a laminate, but then that's shifted over to the rigid core. SPCs were getting very popular because of the we didn't have to put an expansion every so many square feet, right? So SPCs got popular, but then that is actually fading out now, and it's more SPCs and items like that. The DIY thing is kind of fading away a little bit because of all the failures that everybody is seeing. And I think that's where the SPCs and the drop lock systems came into play.
Well, they were positioned in the market, and I don't know. I'd love to hear your opinion or how it worked over in the UK, but all the DIY products were positioned as like, you don't have to know anything to put this down. You don't have to have any like we did a podcast where we got on TikTok and looked at some of these things, and it was hilarious.
They
But at the
they
same
did very
time,
good at their marketing. They were very, very good at their marketing.
yeah, they just
And
made it like the stay-at-home mom can put it in, and
yeah,
truth is you still have to have the floor prepped correctly and all these things. And so I think that caused a lot of the failures, um, you know, both mainly in residential, but even a little bit in commercial, where property managers were starting to do
oh
some
yeah.
of their own stuff because they thought that it was no problem. It's just carpet tile. How hard can it be? So, did you guys experience that same thing over there?
Exactly the same, where the die-hard installers sort of tried it and then avoided it and realized you may as well just, most of the real the normal contractors are sticking everything down with the LVT. So then when they see in the DIY market, you've got something, fully waterproof, can supposedly fit together, as well as a 12 mil laminate, go over an unlevel subfloor, and then when it gets to it, it just snaps and comes apart.
Yeah.
It's yeah. So yeah, it very quickly seems to have swerved, and possibly even, I haven't seen it, but there was talk more of either a lot thicker, sort of up to 14 mil versions, and then also back to a laminate to swerve back into that DIY, easy click, easy install. If the subfloor isn't quite right, it'll take it. I did see on a flooring display in a showroom, and it said suitable. Like, it was on the point of sale, and it said product is suitable for unlevel subfloors. And that just didn't resonate. I'm thinking, how can
You've never heard those two
Yes.
things put together in the
See,
same sentence.
they didn't have a picture of it because they had a transition every third piece. Every third row, there was a transition. That's what they didn't tell you. So going back to that conversation, we just had a potential client call, and I went out and measured, and she was talking to me on her phone next to her husband, and she's like, well, we did the DIY thing, but now since all of that failed, we wanted to call a professional to install it. And I was like, oh yeah, they advertise as DIY. Unfortunately, the homeowners are still subject to the same standards as a professional. And if you don't know those standards, or you don't abide by them and something goes wrong, there's no coverage. So, I mean, I wasn't trying to sell anything, but I was just explaining. And yeah, but I'm glad to see
You should
that.
try to sell, because many DIYers, they don't understand. The fact is read the install instructions. I guarantee you that somewhere it's going to have an ASTM standard somewhere, which is the American testing of standard measurements or whatever.
Yep.
It's going to have these standards that you got to know, whether it's F710 or 1869 for moisture and all these things. And then on top of that, when you both mentioned moisture proof, or waterproof.
Yeah, waterproof.
That is such a misleading way to sell something that is not truly. I mean, yeah, if you spill a cup of water in the middle of the slab of the properly installed tile, it's probably not going to cause you a problem. If you get it around the edges and underneath of it, you got yourself an issue. And anyway, that's funny.
Yeah.
Same kind of challenges no matter where you go.
Yeah. Well, I think failure is failure no matter what, right? A bad installation in the U.S. is still be a bad installation in the U.K. I don't think that really separates us from them. I think.
Well, but they have different products. I was talking to Johnny, which is a associate with Tom and Sarah, and they have like flat weaves and things, and we have flat weaves, but it sounds like you could get certified in just flat weaves and stay busy. Almost. Yeah.
Yeah. There is guys that are just simply carpet guys. There's people that simply just wood guys, just sanding guys. And there's very, very few that can do most items. I probably know 2 or 3 contractors across the country that have got a skill set in multiple different fields. So, we're not. The LVT guys tend to stick with the carpet, and then the wood tend to stay together. And both, there is some crossover, but they seem to be the channels. But yeah, you can. I know people that look at the sizels and naturals, and do more of that. So, and then you've got I'm not going to call them enthusiastic DIYers, but the handymen that can do the laminates, but don't do any stick down. So they're not really. They're few and far between what I would see, but they definitely exist.
Do you guys have so like over here, if you're in the natural fiber, that's where you live in flat weaves as well. Like those guys are usually, natural fiber, sisals and seagrasses or sawgrass or whatever, that's a whole different world from me, but the training is kind of formatted that way as well. But so yeah, it's funny when I was talking to Johnny how it seemed like, it's more niche even.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's more niche over there.
That's what I was going to say.
Over here, you gotta do more than just carpet to stay alive. And LVT and carpet guys, they do tend to that is kind of where, if you're a good carpet layer, you probably know how to do LVT or vice versa. So interesting.
It is. I like the idea that people are still taking the artistry portion of the industry a little more serious somewhere. And the way you explained it, that's how I interpreted it. So I'm just going to leave it like that. If it's not like that, nobody tell me, please. I just want to appreciate that for a moment.
So Tom, do you guys you were talking about kind of that Victorian, did you say Victorian?
Tiles, very small tiles, so
yeah,
little triangles and patterned floors, that type of very, very intricate patterns.
In your LVTs?
Yes.
Oh, really?
And they replicate old Victorian, Georgian, UK house tiles that you would have found in the hallway predominantly. So yeah, it's really sort of nice tile effect. That's what it is. It's very, very small, like mosaic tiles. Basically, is that put in the sort of Victorian tile? That seems to really sort of quite inexpensive, but it's still nowhere near the same price as doing it in tile. So it's a modern twist, and they're just getting better and better and better. But they probably retail around £100 a square meter, I would say, plus your install, which tends to be more. But the finished result is something completely different.
Yeah,
really cool.
Awesome. I think your Victorian era is probably way fancier than ours. So.
Well, I'd never heard. Of course, I'm not in the residential world, but I've seen some of the medallions that are like pre-put together. They just basically water jet the stuff out, and it's kind of pre-put together, and you just put it together like a puzzle out. So I've seen some of the medallion stuff, but not where there's any overall floor like designed to the individual LVT that the installer puts in himself. I mean, it's a medallion in a box, and you slap it together and put it together, cut into it basically. So
they brought out like bordered edges that have got complete curves in, sort of 90-degree curves. So so it looks like they've bent the LVT around the staircase or around a curved wall. That's one piece. But then it's cut in. I mean, I wouldn't even know where to start to install it, but the LVT guys, it's getting more and more intricate, and the borders seem to be the things that really sort of set things off. I see the point of sale of it a lot, but it's the point of sale in the showroom works much better actually on the floor, on the deck, because you can show the borders and things like that. On a sample board, doesn't quite do it justice.
Yeah.
How do you guys are there additional skill sets needed with that, or is it literally like kind of putting things together? If you're a good LVT guy, are they able to do this without any additional training?
I think a lot of people are willing to give it a go because they've done the borders, they've done the sort of detail strips, and it's just a little step up from that. But there is training providers that will deep dive 3 days just into design work. So yeah, you can do. There's multiple courses in the UK. You could, if you want to really focus on the design work, you would go and sit a two. But it's definitely not mandatory, and it's definitely not something you'd get asked in a retail environment. Have you sat the course? It's more to get that skill set up to say, to just like anything, just get that your level of skill set up. So, yeah, there is multiple training courses for it.
Gotcha.
Now,
Awesome.
Is there a big need for continued education in the training there, both on the business side and the installation side? Like, do more people lean towards consulting or receiving consulting and then educating themselves for their discipline?
We're the only training provider for business in the UK. There is no one else. You can go and do generic business training, but there is no one that focuses only on the flooring industry. So we're kept busy enough, thankfully. But I definitely have seen a huge increase in the last three or 4 years of manufacturer training, other training providers setting up. When I was out on the tools, you were lucky to get training maybe once every 3 or 5 years with something, and it would be more like not even a club, but like, an accreditation. You needed to do some commercial work to do sports floors or things. So to do operations and that, you needed the badge that was approved by the manufacturer. Now you could ring up 10 UK manufacturers tomorrow and say, I'd really like to bring the guys down to do some training. And they would do it. They would take you out to dinner. They would show you the products and really give you, yes, it's a sales ploy to get you to buy more of that product, but it's based on education. So they're not going to try and sell you anything. What they're going to show you is the technology behind their product. And then you can do your own due diligence and choose the best suppliers. But the education they're doing is by real guys that have been on the knees. I think it's completely underutilized, where, yes, the sales reps, the area sales managers are trying to get people on these training. They're free. But I think the contractors should be taking time out of their day, their month, to do a couple of these, because I've done quite a few. And every time I've learned something new, and I've got an ulterior motive, because I'll go and try them and then recommend them to my clients and things. So why don't you take you guys on this? But I want to go and sit it, because I won't refer it if I've not done it myself. But every time I've been to a different one, there's something else I thought that was worth coming for. These are 2 and 3 hour journeys to go. So it's not huge, maybe compared to the States, going right across the one side to the other. But, most of these are in reach 2 to 3 hours of people in the UK. So it's but manufacturer, yes.
We talk about this all the time. How often we find that people do not take trainings, and there are some free ones from similar situation where you got manufacturers that will do it, but again, you got days off, travel, hotel, and not producing seems to be the biggest thing. So having a merit-based or accredited-based reward system, which is what Go Carrera and the Hammer rating, which we're doing some kind of overhauling on all this, but that's where that all comes from, is like really good guys that have good Hammer ratings or good scores should get paid more, and they should be able to display to the end user why they're worth more. And that might solve that problem of taking off a day or two, because it does have a future reward in you being able to get more money from the marketplace.
Yeah, and that's
Yep.
there's no way of that in the UK, where you could have done every course and you could have someone that's done no courses and never been to any sort of education, and they could be expected to be paid the same. Maybe.
Well, and how would anybody know? Like, how's the end user know? You got you and me standing next to each other. I've never taken a course in my life, but I worked for this guy for 6 months and think I know what I'm doing. And you've taken every course there is and have these certifications, and you even got a certification badge on your van. Unfortunately, the end user or the purchaser often doesn't know anything about it. Like that, I know plenty of flooring guys that are on our network that don't even know where to go get certified or go get different trainings, let alone a homeowner or a general contractor or somebody trying to hire you to do a job. They just don't know. So how do you tell? And so having a way to market yourself from a skills perspective and provable that you're a higher quality installer than this other guy can validate why you are 20, 30, 40, whatever percent higher than him. And we're hoping that we can, with some of our marketing and rebranding and kind of a new approach at it, really start to create this atmosphere where the really good guys get, not that when you first get in, you shouldn't make money, you should, but it should be tied to your skills and experience. I mean, a doctor's there's almost no other trade or skill. I don't care if you're a doctor or a lawyer, whatever, that doesn't get paid as you get more experience and more training. If you're a family physician versus a brain surgeon, we know which one makes more money. Attorneys, same thing. If you're a, intern, if you're the difference between being a lawyer and a partner at a firm, or somebody who's in corporate attorney versus, a family attorney, a family law, like these things have levels to them. And so does any trade, any skill, I think. And we're attempting to, and, we've obviously been in talks with you guys about this stuff. But in an attempt to get the good guys paid what they're worth and have homeowners and property managers and contractors know the difference of the installation they're paying for, they may be able, we all may be able to get out of this low bid guy gets the job kind of scenario.
I think it's very similar to the not the hammer rating, but the business training we do is not something revolutionary. It's not a golden key. It's not a big bag of cash. What it is making you stand out from the crowd. It's making you systemize your sales, your marketing, your recruitment, your finances, because we all start predominantly maybe on our knees with one person or on our own, and then we basically guess our way through the business. Yes, if we do training or we learn from other people, we can fast forward that. But quite a lot of guys literally just get a van and go, okay, I'm now going to make this up for the next 5 years, and then we wonder, well, why is that company doing better? And it could be down to, I don't know, like passing down from family, like learning from people who've done it. But if you haven't got anyone to learn from, it's so that coupled with accreditation would get you, let's say, a startup business from 0 to 5 years. If you worked, let's say, your hammer rating up, but then also took the education on the business side, because I remember when you would first set up, you would charge a reasonable rate to win the work, because you feel your standard is, well, I'm just learning, so I'll just charge this. But if you change your mindset to a 5-year, 10-year mindset at year one, the cash will start to come in a lot quicker. And that's it. Most of the gap between the guys that are earning or not is mindset, not quite a lot of the time, not skill set. I mean, yes, fair enough, sometimes it is definitely skill set. Yeah. But quite a lot of the time, it is literally they're getting in their own way. that they're incredible installers, but they're still charging what they charged 3 years ago. And it just doesn't make, it does make sense, but they get stuck on this wheel of like just continuously doing the same thing, but getting the same results.
That's why that you got to know how to market yourself and bring your skills out to the forefront, whether it's your marketing skills, your business skills, your installation skills, and be able to present that, hey, I am a better option than the other guy. And we have the same thing that happens all the time. Guys they literally, it's like two guys talk over the weekend and jump in a van on Monday and say, we're L&L floor covering installation. Boom,
I mean,
give us work. And they don't set up a company. They don't have a bank account. They don't know how, the rules for insurance, like all these things. And they just fumble one thing after another until they figure it out. You could shortchange this learning curve by getting with companies like yourself and shorten the learning curve down to where you're operating at a high level. And that's what I really get excited about when I start thinking about, whether it's accreditation and training or business teachings, is it will pay for itself, guys. Like you can shorten this learning curve down much shorter if you get properly trained on both business and the technical skill.
I just want to butt in and add to your scenario you just explained, Paul. Is you just explained exactly how preferred flooring got started.
Yeah.
Got let go on a Monday. Daniel got let go on a Tuesday. We had a van on a Wednesday. Had our first project on a Friday. Like that. You just explained it to a T. Like, what do we got to do?
And how many pitfalls did you fall into?
Very, very many.
Yeah.
Very many.
It wasn't that much different for myself. Like I was an installer that decided to go out and give it a go. And I did a few things different than most installers. I opened a company and I paid myself a salary every week. Every bit that I made over my salary went into the bank account, and that's how I built the business up into an actual business. But not everybody does that. In fact, most installers I know, they take a job, they have no idea if they're going to make money on it. They do the job, they pay their help, and then they hope that there's some money left over at the end of the day. And if there is, great. If there's not, they gripe that the market doesn't pay enough. As opposed to what you're talking about, Tom, is like actually setting yourself apart so that you can clearly identify, so that your customer can clearly identify why you're worth more money. If you're charging the same today as you did 3 years ago, then there's another way. There's a better way, and you should search that out. That's my opinion.
Yeah. That's pretty spot on.
And I think that if it could be accredited, I think it could probably, one, give the homeowner or the commercial more. You have to do it with gas and electric in the UK, so why not do it with flooring? But even on a smaller scale, which I think was a real take home for me, we do very similar training for the last 3 or 4 years, and then we did some pre-qualification on the telephone. So a client rings in to your shop or while you're out in the van, and most people just pick the phone up and just answer it like a normal. And what we actually did was we did 40 minutes training. But what I did was one of our clients led the training, and she was a husband and wife team. So she ran the office and he went out installing. And so she would answer the phone, take a couple of details, go out with some carpet books in her car, and then say, choose your samples. And then they would then do a quote. And that was it. That was the system, because what else do you do? But in 4 years, since then she's been working with us and took other training, even like from different business training. And she's formalized this complete structure: how to answer a phone, how to work out if the client really is that client for you, shows value on the phone, shows interest in the client, and probably only goes out to 60% of the people that have called through. Sometimes gives prices over the phone if she thinks it's relevant. But now all of the work she's doing is at this higher level. Her husband's over the moon because all the clients pay really quick. There's never any confusion about product choice, anything like that. And it's just so simple. She uses a prompt sheet on every single call. That's it. So again, there's no golden key, no magical wand. It's a prompt sheet. And that's every single, and this is just residential install. So if there could be like, if just flooring contractors went through that training, that's a tiny 45-minute, 1 hour training, but it literally could change your financial position. It's changed hers. It's changed other people within our network that have done it. And the thing that's great is she led the training, not me. We discussed it beforehand of the key words, but she now is impacting others by a simple piece of paper. So we don't need to change the world. I think we just need to change a little bit more education rather than freestyling it and guessing, because guessing doesn't work all the time, I think.
Well, and like you started off, it's a type of pre-qualification.
Yeah.
You're pre-qualifying your customer. And if you as a premium installer would do that, and just don't take the clients that are not willing to pay for a little, for the extra work or the extra, not even extra, the premium type installation where with a company or with a flooring installer who is going to be there in 6 months. That's another big problem, like that plagues, I would say, the industry's visual from like, we don't have the best optics because people, an installer will do a job and in 6 months he's nowhere to be found. It doesn't have the same number, doesn't have the same van, doesn't have the same business name, may not even be around at all, or if he is, he may not be under the same name, or like, it's just, and a lot of that comes from just not getting proper business training on, because that's what you're doing. You're starting a business. Even if you're just installing, you're starting a business. So understanding your metrics and then really being a professional at what you are. You're a technician a lot of times in the beginning. Be a pro at being that, and take pride in it. And I think the more we can push as an industry towards that, the healthier the industry gets.
And I like the way you formatted all that too, because what she did was she stumbled upon a structure that vetted, like you said, pre-qual or vetted her client, and it slowly, as she went down her sheet, it slowly put them into a category: client, no client, and that was I like that.
You just get better clients. Is that the bottom line, Tom? She got better clients.
She just gets better clients. She just gets better and better clients. And she's even gone one step to the outer comfort zone, asking questions such as, have you received any other quotes for this job? And that's not so bad. And that's the first piece of it. But then the second piece of, what are you looking to get from me that the others haven't given you? Like questions like that at the first, brilliant sales question. But which contractors ask that type of question? So at that point, Mrs. Jones would be saying, well, the first guy didn't turn up to come and look around. The second guy didn't even price the job. And the third guy came back with a price for something exorbitant, like 10,000, and didn't ask me any good questions. So she said, so if I can come within your budget with the right product, are we going to be, we should be able to work together? Absolutely. And she's never met this person. So she's getting really sort of building rapport. And it's not staged. She's using her personality, her sort of professionalism. None of it's staged. She just has the prompt sheet so she doesn't forget. And then she also has the technical side and things like that, so she can refer back to the sheet. And it's every single call, one piece of paper. And it's worked multiple times for other people. But I think it was just great that we deep dived in it on a Zoom like this with all of our clients across the country. And it was like, everyone's took something from it. I've took something from this. That's it.
Yeah. Well, that's a beauty of a training, and you mentioned it earlier, is you're probably going to learn something. A lot of the other stigma around flooring guys is like they think they already know it. And I always tell this story. We have two guys that have subbed from us for a long time. One of them's now out of the industry, but him and his brother, they were called the McDaniel brothers. One of them still works for us, but they had been doing carpet for a lot of years, and we ended up having a course here in Wichita, and they went to R1, R2, and then C1. So 3 courses with CFI, and these guys have been doing it for a lot of years, but they were the same type. They learned from their uncle and thought both of them came back raving about how much they learned. All these little tricks and ways to not have to go back, and ways that would make the client happier, and just all these little details. And that was a technical training. So yeah, I'm blown away when I go to a course of any sort. You're always probably going to learn something.
I was going to say, I don't think I've done a course that I've not come away with something. I really don't think I've done any, and I've done multiple installer, education, business, mindset, emotional, every single type of training I've done. I don't think I've ever come away and thought, no. Some of it, may have not been relevant, but I still came away with something and thought, I'm gonna use that. So I think I'm sure they do exist, but I've not ever experienced, and I've done lots of training. So
that roller coaster you just talked about, sometimes that all happens in the same day on the same project.
Yeah, it sure does. Well, we're already nearing our time, and as a reminder for the audience, Tom is pushing 9:30 probably at this point. What time is it there, Tom?
Almost 10 o'clock.
Almost 10?
Nearly 10.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we're going to cut it a little bit short today. And thank you, Tom, for joining us. It's always awesome to kind of get you on and hear your guys' mindset about the industry, because not only did you come from the flooring technical side, you guys run a training program. If that ever gets fully online where some US people can partake, make sure to let us know, because I think that would be amazing.
Oh, absolutely. We can certainly do things on Zoom. We do a lot on Zoom, but most of our training's in person at training center. But we're doing mini ones all the time. So yeah, it's we'd love to have you on.
How can everybody find that?
There's nothing available. I mean, the website's cockerillandco.co.uk. That has our UK-based courses. But if anyone reached out to us and said, "Look, I'm struggling with this," I'm sure we could probably help. Or certainly invite them into a group environment where we've got other contractors that, and that's what we're kind of doing. Probably focusing next year is bringing our higher level clients that have been through all the training to help others, because there's only one of me and one of Sarah. So the more people we can impact, more families we can impact. That's what we're there trying to do. So,
well, if anybody in the audience, if this is resonating, let us know, and we can definitely get you hooked up with Tom. It's Cockerill, Cockrill.
Yeah, Cockerill.
Okay, Erill.
And then ANDCO.
Okay,
Cockerill
and Co. Yeah. Okay, cockerillandco.uk, right?
.co.uk.
.co.uk. All right. So hook up with those. I'm in contact with Cockerill and Sarah, and I talk to Tom every once in a while. I think I talk to your wife more often, but we can get you guys hooked up if you want to look into their trainings. One thing I would say is you never know what you might learn from somebody across the pond about how you guys might do a business just a little bit different than we do. That could be a really big benefit. So if anybody just reach out to me, paul@gocarrera.com, and or you can reach out to Jose. He'll get in touch with us. Anybody, Roland, says, I always say if I'm the smartest person in the room, I'm in the wrong room. That's particularly true for you, Roland. I'm just kidding, buddy. All right, Tom. Hey, thanks for joining us today, man. It's a pleasure. And thank you for staying up and having a great conversation. Jose, thanks again for always being here, my man. And
Do what we do.
with that, we will catch you the next time you're on the Huddle.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Yes.